Hello everybody, I'm Luca Bassim from 12th grade in the Institute Primo Levi from Turin, and today I'd like to introduce everyone listening to the basics of C#, a fairly simple language and you get the hang of it. So today I'll help you get started with a small presentation about it. C# is an object-oriented language, but what are objects? They're an instance of a class, which means that they have their properties, their attributes such as their name or their color and so on, and methods, which are the actions that they can make, such as a car accelerating, a dog barking, and so on and so forth. C# is used in a lot of different ways, most common examples being websites or desktop applications, but can vary to games and mobile apps, although more difficult to pull off. C# presents different features and limitations, one of the most important being the fact that it's case sensitive, so a character written in caps or in lowercase makes the difference. It requires a code editor to create the code and run it. Today we'll use Visual Studio. And each and every line has to end with a semicolon for the line to be recognized. C# also utilizes a lot of different data types, all with their usage. Char, or character, have a single written character, which if it's a number, it doesn't interact with other numbers with the type int or float in calculations. A string, which is a character vector, an int, a number that doesn't present any digits after the decimal point, or float, which can present them. You can convert any data type to another using the command convert_to and insert the variable type you need. No need for the square brackets, I use them to create a simple and visual example, followed by the brackets which inside the variable you want to convert. We can also use control structures, such as conditionals, most famously the if condition, where if a condition is met, you can start the code in brackets. The else condition associated to the if, where if the condition in brackets is not met, the else code starts, and else if, that if a condition in the if brackets is not met, starts another if, saying if another condition this time is met. In the conditions bracket, we often find logical operators, such as and, the operator or the not one, are kind of self-explanatory. They connect one operation to the other in a condition. We can also use, in different cases, comparison operators. Less than, less or equal as, more than, more or equal as, equal, be careful, if it's not to declare something, if it's to declare something, it's one equal. But if you want to check if a variable is equal to something else, it's a double equal. And we can also find the not equal to, using the not operator and the equal sign. Obviously, conditions aren't only used in, well, conditionals, but also in loops, such as the while loop that states while a condition is met, the code is repeated. The for loop instead is sort of different. You have to use a number to create your condition, and you have to decide the number of times that the loop will repeat, using the formula on the presentation. I put an example here below, check it out. It uses a pre-created variable and a do while loop. And here's the way that we'll see that output of our code. The message box. Using C# on Visual Studio, we can use GUI instruments such as the message box that I've put here. We can also find the text boxes, where that is a sort of input box where you can write a text from the user perspective and it will be used in the code. A button is something instead you can press and evokes the function onClick, but we'll see it better in the code I'm about to show you. A list box is a list of different values. You can add, remove, and do a lot of different commands with the values inside of it. A label is a sort of output box. The user can't interact with it. And the message box too, but it pops up when usually some condition is met. But let's go and see some code, shall we? Okay, we're here on Visual Studio. I'll show you how to create a new project first. We'll go here on the fourth button, create a new project, press on it, and select C#, Windows, and press the second button we see here. Then we have to press forward, name the project, choose our path, and then create it. Okay, as you can see here, I created a simple project. We have a label to describe what's this. This is a text box. You have to name it here to use it inside the code. I have created an addition button. It's fairly easy, I didn't explain it before, so I'll explain it now. You can press this, and then you can press here on your GUI to create a new object that you can use to interact with the code. And here I've created another label to show the result. Let's see the code of it. This is the first part of the code. Obviously we can't see anything, but if you go here and click 2 times on this, it creates a function with the button. So let's start with the code. Let's declare some variables. So single, which is the same as float, so we can use float. Number 1, then we have number 2, and then we'll create a variable to see our final result. The number 1 will be equal to the conversion to float or to single, in this case, of the text box number 1 dot text, and of course we have to end with a semicolon. The number 2 will have to be the same as the number 1, and as you can see here, Visual Studio helps us. You can press tab to have the code completed for you. Here I'll also create an if condition that where the number 1 is below 0, or the number 2 is below 0, a message box will pop up, message box.show to create it, that will say only positive numbers please. Remember to be polite in your code. Then we'll use the fin variable that we created, that is equal to number 1 plus number 2, semicolon, and then we'll show it in our label. Label result dot text is equal to convert dot to string of our variable. Here we can see that this label, I've decided to create a little text to show it, but a label will be shown like this in the code. We can start our code, use our number, and pressing on the button we'll see that the result is here. And my condition is not perfect, obviously. I'd say it's pretty easy, so the code can be used even if we have a minus here, but the message box will pop up. And here was my presentation. Thank you for listening, and enjoy using C# for your codes.